What's going on YouTube? It's No Level Cap Podcast, and today we're going to be discussing the Switch 2, its release, and some of its games. Let's go.
Yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the No Level Cap Podcast with all your friendly neighborhood black nerds, where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture, zero of the BS. Coming back with y'all a new episode every Monday morning. I am your host, Sage Ashford. We down a couple of people, but right now we still got my co-hosts, Devin Butts and Terrence Flowers. Like Devin said at the beginning, we're here to discuss our final Switch 2 predictions just ahead of the Switch reveal on Tuesday, I believe it is, right?
Wednesday.
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Yep.
Okay, Wednesday. We haven't quite worked out our plans for. There will be a React stream, at least as far as I know. We haven't quite worked out when it's gonna it'll be within the day. So either within 24 hours of the Switch reveal, we'll have our reactions up. So don't worry about it. Obviously, it won't be live since Nintendo airs theirs at the fucking ass end of the morning, which makes sense because they do have to balance it for Japan and America. Well, really all territories. So that makes sense. So it being that time of the morning, but obviously, we got work and stuff like that. But we will have our reactions up so y'all get to see what our thoughts are. But for now, let's just go ahead and talk about the Switch 2, our last little thoughts. And I want to start with, when do you think the Switch 2 launches? Now, this might have been spoiled. If you haven't seen the spoiler, I'll let you know after the fact, but I do want to get y'all's guesses. Devin, when do you think the Switch 2 is going to launch?
So the last one came out in March, right?
Yep.
And now we've already passed that time frame. We're going to get reveals. It's a little conference on the 2nd of April. That's right around the corner.
Yep.
For
clarification's sake, the original Switch was revealed in a commercial in October. Got its effectively what this is going to be on Wednesday. Got that in January, and then came out in March.
Mm-hmm. And then you had I'm trying to think of the time frame, because I think the light came out 2 months after that. No, not 2 months. It was September, and the OLED was October. I'm gonna just say maybe July, August.
Okay. July, August. That's deep in the summer, actually. Terrence, what about you? What do you think?
So I think I might have stumbled across those leaks. So I think I have an idea of when it's supposed to release. But
right.
I do think that June is a good period for it, or pretty much like the summer, June, July. I think that's a good release window for it, because it'll be the hot new item of the summer. It'll give Nintendo some buffer time between the summer and the fall, when we know all the games are going to come out. So it'll give time for people to make the decision whether or not they're going to buy it. So I do think that summer window is when it's going to drop, probably June or July. That would make the most sense to me. I don't see it being in fall, just because that worked for Sony and Microsoft, but for Nintendo, I don't think they've dropped a system in the fall since I can't remember when was the last, was it the Wii maybe? I can't remember when the Wii dropped.
Didn't the Wii U come out in the fall?
I don't know. I really don't know off the top of my head, when the last
November.
time. November? Okay, so it was.
But that would be 13 years ago.
Yeah, well, that even though that's only one console since then, it has been a long time. So I think Nintendo knows that the fall isn't ideal for them. It's better to just release away from everyone else, and then kind of let their library build up as the year comes to a close. So yeah, I think that summer window is a good time for them.
I think Nintendo can release whenever.
True.
The spoiler was that Nintendo supposedly is planning on releasing in June. I think that was a Best Buy leak or something like that. That they got where people got that idea, and that does line up roughly 2 months after the announcement. You get the release of the game, the console. It worked for the Switch 1. The Switch 1 sold gangbusters. It is effectively the best-selling console of all time. I know that someone I know Sony was like, oh, actually, the PlayStation 2 sold 155 million. It was like, man, for years it was 153 or whatever it was, and all of a sudden you found an extra 2 million and they got sold, huh? All right, if you say so. The Switch is effectively the best selling because like it's still gonna be selling even after the Switch 2 comes out. So I think they can put this out whenever. They're not coming to us begging like they were when the Switch 1 came out, because the Switch 1 was following like the Wii U, and the Wii U had done such a abysmal job. 12 million consoles sold, even though it had some fantastic hardware. Software, some fantastic software. The hardware was left a lot to be desired, and that put them in a very precarious position. They're not in that position no more. 13 years ago, or even like 8 years ago, that's a long time ago, when the Switch launched. They're not in that. They do have the ability to launch pretty much whenever they want. And I think what they're going to take advantage of is like, hey, if we put this out in June, we get the launch flurry, people coming in like, oh, I got to have my Switch. And then that gives you time to build up a new stock while you're putting out games. I mean, while you're putting out consoles for like July, August, September, but you still get to build up a stock so that you have something for the holiday. And effectively, you get 2 holiday seasons. So I think that's where we're going to go for that. How much do y'all think it's going to cost? Now, this, if there is a spoiler, I didn't see it, so I couldn't tell you. How much do you think it's going to cost, Terrence?
So right now, the Switch OLED is $350, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I looked it up on Amazon this morning. I'm pretty sure it's $350,
okay.
And the OG Switch is $300. I think and then you have the Switch Lite, which I believe that's $200.
$199.
$199.
Yeah.
Okay. So logically, I think this has to come in at probably, I think $399, $400. I think that's what they go for. But here's the thing. I think if they announce that at $400, the others, they have to get a price cut. Like, you can't have the Switch OLED still sitting there at $350 and the Switch 2, which is going to run Switch games.
Yeah.
You can't have that still at that price. That'd just be ridiculous. There'll be no reason to buy a Switch after the Switch 2 comes out. So I imagine some kind of price cut. I don't know if they announced that during the Switch 2 presentation or later, but I imagine some kind of price cut has to happen on the OG Switch models, and this one's going to come out at $400. I just don't see it being more than that, just based on Nintendo's past. Like, they haven't really competed with Xbox and PlayStation in terms of price in like quite some time. Really since the GameCube. Even the GameCube was cheaper because the GameCube was
it was
I think like $100. Yeah.
I mean, like, what made it it was way cheaper because it was I think, was it $149 at one point or something like that?
I think it came out at $200 because I remember.
Right.
I remember the Xbox, I believe, was $300. The PlayStation was maybe
$300.
like $300, $250, something like that. Yeah.
They were. I mean, the Xbox. I mean, I remember the PlayStation 2 being a big deal that it was $300.
Yeah.
And it was hard to like talk your parents into getting you to buy one at that time. And then the GameCube was like the price conscious alternative, but it was still trying to compete in terms of like power.
Yeah.
That was the last time they tried to compete in terms of power. This time they're in an interesting spot because it is a handheld console, but they do still want it to be fairly powerful. And so I would imagine that's going to hamstring them in terms of what they can reasonably charge. And they don't like taking too much of a loss, if a loss at all, on hardware costs.
Yeah, and I guess it's also going to depend on what tech is actually inside of it, and I assume that's what they'll talk about on Wednesday, so that'll add on to the cost as well. Yeah, I think $400. I think any higher than that might be asking for a little too much. Maybe $450 at the most, but I'm going to go $400.
Because, I mean, like, both the other consoles are going for $500, so, I mean, like, it would really be a throw your dick on the table, fuck you, what are you going to do about a type of move to charge $500?
Yeah, and even the PlayStation 5 Slim, not Slim, the discless, the digital version, you can get that for $400.
$399.
Right? Yeah, so, they can't go any higher than $400. No, they can't.
Devin, what about you? What do you think?
That's the exact same price I was thinking. I mean, now with the fact that, like Terrence brought up, there's really no point to get a Switch out unless they do something weird. Like, hey, the Switch only does this, but I don't think there's any need for that. Like, you have the backwards compatibility now, so all the games, your catalog games you had now, you can still play them on this system along with the new game. So I think along with that, and plus, the hardware bumping up a bit, I think that warrants like at least a $50 price increase. So 400, I think, is where they're gonna land at. Like I said, I don't think it'd be any more than that unless they add some extra doodads. Maybe those possible mouse Joy-Cons might add a price. I don't know. But yeah, I think 400 is a sweet spot for them because, like y'all both mentioned, Nintendo's never been one to like increase the price of their consoles. You can go back and look at most of every console generation. They were at least $100 cheaper. PlayStation 1, 64, GameCube, PlayStation, all of them. So yeah, I think 400 is a fair bet.
I do think. What's up, Terrence?
Real quick, I was gonna say they're gonna have to leave a window for the OLED version that comes later because this one is LCD, if I'm not mistaken, right?
There's no confirmation, but it's almost certainly not going to be an OLED screen.
Yeah, so they gotta leave a little bit of room for the OLED Switch version later, a few years down the line.
Man, it's crazy that they really just don't do lower price consoles anymore. Like this, the only chance that you're going to see of them lowering the price of the Switch and the Switch OLED is just like Terrence said, when this comes out. I don't think they advertise that. They might, but I doubt it. I think that's one of those things that happens quietly in the background. And if you keep up with gaming news, you'll go to Polygon or Kotaku or IGN, and they'll be like, hey, the Switch OLED is now $299 just in preparation for the Switch 2. I think that's what you wind up seeing. I don't see it going any higher than $449. I think it's insane to try to price it higher because like it just be like hey, fuck you, we're Nintendo and we sold 160 million consoles. Which you gonna not get the new Mario Kart? Yeah, you getting that bitch? So $500, come off it. They're not doing that. It's ridiculous because like from a graphical fidelity standpoint, they're not equal. Like the PlayStation 5 is capable of putting out way better graphics and performance. Like eventually, and like already, this ain't gonna be like the Switch 1, where for a little bit it was like, oh, this does pretty good. Like the Switch 2, I would be shocked if the Switch 2 has the same specs as the Steam Deck. I'd be shocked. And the Steam Deck is already kind of like, hey man, you asking a lot of me. Like these new AAA games is
Did you see that Digital Foundry video? They showed how AAA, like certain AAA games now look on the on the Steam Deck. Like man, it's rough.
Oh, it's chugging, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not surprised. The Steam Deck was never really designed to run the AAA games at the highest fidelity. But I mean, like, with that, I feel like we're maybe a year out from Steam Deck 2 to like, kind of ameliorate the problems there. Because otherwise, like, it's just not. I do want to see this video if you have it, or if you know where to find it. Can you like throw it in the chat later?
Oh yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
Okay. Because that sounds funny as fuck. So with that being said, I wanted to toss some video games y'all's way. And because I mean, like we've done the whole what do you want to be there? We've done the whole build the perfect Switch launch year. We did all of that. I want to now just kind of toss some franchises at y'all and ask y'all whether you think they'll be there or not. But I will say first, before we started the show, I went back and looked at the original Switch 1 presentation, and I was like, okay, well, what did they have there? And so they, to get some of this out of the way, of course, they opened with the Switch price. Then they explained how it worked, the TV mode, the portable mode. It's very interesting going back and watching it because it's kind of like an artifact. Even though it was like 2017, it's like they don't do presentations like this anymore. And I would be shocked if they did one like that this time because it was very much old E3, bunch of dudes in suits coming onto a stage talking to people. I'm like, there's no shot that it looks like that this time. It's going to be like a direct, like where they just go, hey, here's the games, here's the this, here's the that, and it, moving on really quickly and the music playing in the background. That's what you're going to get this time. But they did talk about the Switch explanation, and I think that's probably where we get like what explains the new Joy-Con and the mice that Devin referenced. Like I think that's where you get that explanation. And then, of course, they had 1-2 Switch and ARMS, which were supposed to be like take advantage of the Joy-Cons. So you got that. Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade 2, which at the time was insane because Xenoblade Chronicles X had come out just a year prior. Like it had come out at the end of December, and then in January of December 2015 and January 2017, they were like, "Hey, here's Xenoblade 2," and everybody's like, "You just put out a game. There's no way this game comes out." And sure enough, it hit in December, letting you know what kind of monsters Monolith was. Fire Emblem Warriors. Then they shifted to like third-party partners. Dragon Quest 11. Shin Megami Tensei 5 was there. If you know anything about when Shin Megami Tensei 5 came out, that's actually fucking hilarious. Because I think it came out, last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yep, last year.
And then they did the re-release. Yeah.
But it was like, I think it came out 2 years ago, and then last year was the re-release.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bro, this was at the Switch 1 launch in 2017. And it was just like, hey, man. Atlas was like, we'll get to y'all when we get to y'all. Octopath Traveler was there. Weirdly, Skyrim on Switch was there. Like they what's my man's name? Todd Howard came out there and was like, "Oh, we finally able to bring y'all Skyrim." And I was like, "This game is 6 years old, even when you showed it off here." So that was kind of wild. I'm bringing all this up to add context to some questions later, so that everybody kind of knows okay, well, this is what was there. No More Heroes 3 was announced there. No gameplay, just announced. Electronic Arts showed up to let you know that FIFA was there. It's like, okay, congratulations. Then after that, they went into some detail on the accessories. We won't get that nerdy. They talked about Joy-Con colors, the Pro controller, wrist straps, Joy-Con grip, all that stuff. They already did the thing where they're like, oh, you want to come test the Switch out? They already announced Switch 2 test dates where you can go different parts of America and different parts of the world to test out the Switch 2 before it comes out officially. I don't think they'll come. And they might come back for a few seconds to that. And then they ended it with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that was the full Switch 1 reveal. With that being said, do y'all think Legend of Zelda is at this particular show? Terrence.
When did Breath of the Wild 2 come out?
Tears of the Kingdom came out in 2023.
Yeah.
2023, okay. And then we had that Zelda game. I mean, if you want to count it, we had that Zelda game last year.
I mean, if you want to count that, and I do, Zelda has never missed. There's a new Zelda game out every year. Some new Zelda product.
So are we just talking the launch window of the Switch 2?
Launch year. Let me rephrase that. We're talking about what we think is going to be at the show.
Mm-hmm.
But do we think I imagine at the show they're going to show us roughly the first year, maybe hold back one or two things, but roughly the first year. So do you think Zelda in any form will be at Switch 2 showcase?
I do. I think that it won't be I don't think it'll have a title yet. They'll probably show a tech demo. That's what I think. I think it'll be just a demonstration showing what Link is going to look like in the new Switch 2 graphical engine and all that good stuff, like the Switch 2 style, whatever style Nintendo goes for the next Legend of Zelda. So I do think it'll be there, but maybe it'll be Zelda work in progress TBA. I don't think we're going to get a new Zelda this year. There's one other game that I do think we'll get, but I'll wait till you bring it up. But yeah, maybe next year. I don't think this year.
Devin, do you think Zelda will be there?
I mean, if I were to say what I would personally hope for, I would definitely hope for it to be there. But I think it's a good shot that it's there because, I mean, Zelda is one of their flagship titles along with the Mario. It's they kind of hand in hand. And I think it would be good to start with something like that. And as Terrence just mentioned, I do remember even with the GameCube, they did a tech demo before. And oddly enough, the game that we got didn't even look anything like the tech demo that we got
at all.
Wind Waker. It was a demo of showing Ocarina of Time visuals, style, but modern. I'm oh snap! Then we get Wind Waker, which was also a phenomenal game, which some people tend to forget. I don't know why. I know it had a different art style, but that game was actually really ahead of its time. But anyway, I think there is a great possibility they have something Zelda related. I mean, we just had the last Zelda game, which was a main game, but it was more I guess like the production. Like normally Zelda games come out this huge production, great visuals. This was a little more toned down. Had like the kind of isometric classic type view with like a little more cutesy graphics, which is nothing wrong with that. But I think this is time they'll probably show off like, hey, this is what the new Zelda's, the conceptualizing like what it's gonna be, what's gonna look like. So yeah, I think that, and this will be a great start for them too. Like Switch 2 coming out and get everybody like, oh man, this new Zelda. And it's like, let's say it comes out pretty soon. Like, oh man, we got a new Zelda to be like looking forward to pretty soon. So I think it'll be there.
Let me present y'all with a third option or a second option. Instead of Zelda showing up as like a mainline game, what if it's just the rumors about Twilight Princess and Wind Waker?
You know, I was actually gonna mention, like, I know this is done a lot when Nintendo doesn't do this. I don't think as much of some of their games. They do like re-releases, but like full remakes. I would love to see like Ocarina remake or Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. All three of them, honestly. All three of them. You know.
Has Twilight Princess been remade or had a remaster? Not a remake, but a remaster.
I don't think so. I know it had like a port. It was GameCube into Wii. I don't think it's had a remaster actually.
They never released it on the Switch.
Because
if they have
Sword
it,
had a remaster, right?
Yeah, that one did have a remaster. If it hasn't had a remaster or a remake, then that might actually be a possibility. Yeah, you could get an older Zelda remade. That I could see, because then you have a framework that's already been established. You're just making it look better for the Switch 2. So that I could see happening.
I think that's the direction. I mean, like, that's been rumored for ages, and I think that's where we finally see it. If we don't see it here, then it just doesn't exist, or at least like if it does exist, it's like, oh, they weren't even thinking about it when it was rumored. They just came up with it later. Do we see Super Mario here? It's bound to. We haven't had, and I mean like the 3D Mario. We haven't had one since Odyssey, which is insane. And so, like, do we see it here, or is that a June thing? Terrence?
Yes.
Okay.
I 100% think that. Now that's what I was talking about in my answer for Zelda. I said I do think that one other character is going to come back, and that has to be Mario, just because, like you said, we haven't had another Mario game since Odyssey. It's been long enough. Nintendo has had time. I think it's guaranteed that Mario will be a launch title, or at least like a launch year title. It has to be. That's a system seller. It's a great way to show off the power of the system and the new stuff that it can do. I think that's like a no-brainer. I would be shocked if Nintendo doesn't release a Mario this year.
Devin?
It was one thing I know. It's let's go. Like, he's the Nintendo's cash cow. Like, he's done only what Sonic can imagine of doing. It's unfortunate. Sonic just got, as fast as he is, he got left in the dust by this little pudgy plumber. He got left by Aaron the plumber, man. You know, it's just funny. Like, he has been a sure bet. Most of his products sell. I mean, he has so many products. It's just ridiculous. Like, this fictional character has spanned through so many games. He's had a few stinkers, but not many. Especially like when it comes to mainline games, you got the Galaxy series, the Super Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Odyssey. He just don't seem to miss when it comes to those. So if I was a betting man, they're gonna lead with their shining poster boy, you know, that plumber. You know, they might have some different stuff maybe for his brother later down the line, but I think initially there's got to be something Mario related. They've already shown Mario Kart off, so it's like, hey, probably original Mario, some mainline Mario games got to be there.
I agree. I think that it's gonna be weird because, once again, I think the first time it was Zelda that became like the launch title for the Switch 1, and that was the game that, like, if you bought a Switch 1 at launch, the only thing to get and the only thing people wanted was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This time, I think that will be another game that I'm going to bring up in a second. But then in the fall of that year, they released Super Mario Odyssey. And I think that's where we're going to wind up again, where like the launch title is one thing. And then in the fall for the holidays, it's like, hey, come get 3D Mario. You haven't played one in 8 years. That was the last time you saw one. Of course, you had 2D Mario Wonder, Super Mario Wonder coming back, bringing Mario 2D back for the first time in like I think a decade or something like that. But now it's 3D Mario's time to shine, and it makes sense for man. I can't think of another franchise that has that, by the way, where they can't. Maybe Metroid. I guess Metroid, huh?
Where they have what?
2D and 3D equally.
Oh, yeah.
Where they're just both a big deal.
Yeah, I
Like
guess in terms of being a big deal. Yeah.
Like everybody else is like, hey, man. What was the last 2D Sonic? Sonic, actually, no, I kind of agree, though.
Yeah, Sonic's close.
Now, when we say big deal, do we mean like critical big deal or like? Because if that's the case, we got to toss Sonic out the window.
That's what I was thinking. Because
that's why he's at where he's at, kind of like. I mean, like people love him. These games they tend to be a little shaky. But speaking of, Devin brought up Mario Kart. What is that the launch title? Devin.
I mean, just the fact that they already showed off a little bit. It's got to be.
That's the only thing they showed us. Yeah.
Yeah, they led with that, so it's got to be. It would befuddle me if they like, hey, we showed this like months in advance before showing anything else, but it's not gonna be like something you play first. I'd be shocked. And I mean, it's also a system seller. It's multiplayer too, so that means like more people gonna be spending money on Joy-Cons and all this other stuff. So they want to get as much money spent out the gate as they can. So I see no reason for it not to be a launch title.
Devin brings up a really good point there. They tend to mark up controllers by like a fuck ton. And so if they're taking any kind of loss on the console because it's like, oh, well, actually it costs us $500 to put together, we're going to sell it to you for $450. They can make that money back really quickly by charging you $60 to buy a controller that actually only cost them $20 to put together. So I kind of agree. Terrence, what do you think? Do you think it's the launch day game?
I agree 100% with Devin. Is the one game they showed us. It would be a system seller. In the same way that Zelda and mainline Mario will be system sellers, Mario Kart would be a system seller, especially if it's as good as Mario Kart 9 was. Yeah, or was it 8?
Well, this would be Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, 8. Sorry, I got my numbers mixed up. Yeah.
I mean, if it's so as long, good,
and Mario Kart 8 was a juggernaut. Like Mario Kart 8 carried an entire generation, and it's still like what in the top 20 best-selling games.
Yes.
Like it never left. Like so that game is insane. If Mario Kart 9 is just as good as 8, best believe, yes, that's going to move some units cuz everybody's going to want to play the latest Mario Kart and whatever stuff they toss in it. Yeah, people are going to eat that up. So I think that's a system seller. That's going to be a launch title.
You know what I think is sad? Mario Kart is such a big brand. They can't evolve it anymore. Like they can't. It's not what I would want. What I kind of want one day is for it to just be Nintendo Kart, and then it's just like Star Fox and all the other characters,
like Smash, essentially.
Yeah, like Smash. But they can't.
I mean, they kind of hinted there because they got Link in there.
Yeah, they have guest characters in there, but you are right that the Mario Kart brand is so strong that they have to go off of that. It can't be Nintendo Kart or Smash Kart. It's just not what it's known for anymore.
A Smash Kart, you might be cooking with something there now.
Smash Kart would be cool. That sounds like more of a battler, and it sounds like you'd release Smash Kart not alongside Mario Kart as opposed to instead of.
Oh, like a mode or something?
I mean, a mode would be cool. A mode seems like that would be the smart thing to call it, and you could just get away with it. I was actually thinking of a separate release, like you release Mario Kart, and then 2 or 3 years down the line, you release Smash Kart, and everybody's like, "What's that?" And it's just like a fun little side mode. Maybe it's $40. It's a smaller game, but I mean, like, I doubt that you'd ever see something like that from them.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, Devin, do you think we see it here?
This is another one of those very popular titles from Nintendo.
Emblem's only got popular with like the 3DS. I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was kind of maybe rising a little bit with the GBA one, because that's ironically, weirdly enough, the first one I actually tried. I wasn't a big fan of those type of RPGs, and I actually played them. Like, this ain't too bad. But yeah, they upped the quality a lot from that 3DS period on. I can see that. I mean, I think it's a safe bet for them. It's built up enough of a fan base. People love it. I mean, they've even been doing like the side stuff where they had like Fire Emblem and Persona, I believe, like a cross game.
Yep.
So I think at this point,
Fire Emblem Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
That's it. Okay, I think at this point it's just a safe game to put in. People like it, high quality game, and it's an RPG, so you give people like some type of variety. Like let's say you got Mario Kart and potentially Mario as a platformer. Oh, just give us an RPG too. So I think that's a pretty solid bet.
Terrence, what do you think?
Yeah, why not? I think it could be there. I don't really put my stakes into that one as much, just because Fire Emblem could show up anytime. It doesn't have to be here. It could be later on down the line. But yeah, I mean, if they have a new one ready, when was the last one that came out? Was it like 2 years ago?
2022, it was Fire Emblem Engage.
Okay. And I remember Engage being not as well received as the one
People
before.
Were cold on it. It was because it was partially because it was like a fan servicey game. And I don't mean like fan service like titties out. I mean fan servicey like just a lot of references to old characters in the main game. It just didn't have. It felt like it didn't really have an identity of its own. From what I understand, the combat took a huge leap up, but like the story took a huge leap down. So
yeah, I feel like they'd have, because the one before that was what, 3 Houses.
Yes.
Okay. I feel like if they do if it does make a return, it'll probably go back to the 3 Houses style, because that's when everybody was all on 3 Houses. Like, that game was huge. So yeah, it could show up. Yeah, it could show up.
Oh, I do think that there is a chance that Fire Emblem is not there, because I mean I don't think that they'll be silent during the summer. Like, I think they'll have their little reveal here, or big reveal, and then I think that we'll see them again in the summer for Summer Games, around the time of Summer Game Fest. And so, like, there's a chance that that's where we see it. It really depends. I think Fire Emblem is due for another remake. I don't think there's ever been any credible people talk about the Fire Emblem 4 remake. I know that's the one that's next in line. They remade 1 and 2. Or no, 1 and 3 for like 3DS. And then they remade 1 and 2 for DS. And then they remade 3 for the 3DS. And then everybody was like, okay, well, where's Fire Emblem 4? Then we got 3 Houses and thought, okay, well, that's got to be the setup to get us ready for Fire Emblem 4. And we just never got Fire Emblem 4, which is interesting because that's the one that was like the biggest. It just never came over here. It was like the one that had like the best story, the most memorable characters, all that kind of stuff. And so I do wonder if we get that sometime in the first year. But as far as being at the show, probably 50-50 chance. I would be a little disappointed, weirdly enough, if they were just like, hey, here's the next mainline Fire Emblem and it's completely new. I kind of do want Fire Emblem 4 to get a remake so everybody can kind of see it. Hopefully people can be quiet about the spoiler and the story and just like let everybody see it as they play it. Smash Bros. Is that do we hear anything about Smash Bros at this direct? Terrence.
I don't think so, man. I don't know, man. It's hard to know if Sakurai is actually done or not, because I mean, he said that he's done with the series,
right?
So unless they reboot it in some kind of way, because here's the thing: how do you top the last one? Like, you have to put even bigger characters in. And it's like, I really don't know.
I don't think you do. I think you. Well, I'll let Devin go.
I don't think if it's going to be a thing, we don't see it here. I feel like that's something that's released like a year or two down the line. Yeah, because with all the other games that we're bringing up, I feel like it'd be a little too much to have all that within the launch year. That'd be insane. So
that's true.
I don't think it's here. I think that's later down the line, if it's going to happen at all.
All right, Devin, what about you?
So I'm thinking about when Melee came out on GameCube, and that was pretty close to the release of the GameCube.
Yeah, that was like that December, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think like November, I believe. November. It says right here November 21st, 2001. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay.
Oh. So, and I mean, we know the smashing hit that Melee was. if they want to just this little presentation to just be, they just got all the guns blazing, they pull out the rocket launchers, they pull out the nuclear warheads. I would say a potential smash. They like, man, you got Mario Kart coming, a new Mario, we got Metroid Prime already confirmed, and you got a Smash. I do think though that it probably won't, because just like Terrence says, like that was Smash was just, this last one was just such a whirlwind of a game. Mugen is actually real now, you know. They just Sakurai's like, I'm gonna just make Mugen real. Unless, like you said, put some what guess can you put in it? My guess, Jinwoo, you know, the greatest R farmer alive, you know, he would sell units, man.
They're not putting him in there. They not. Do you know that might kill the franchise if Jinwoo got in there before Goku? The people been begging for Goku for like a decade now.
Hey, maybe Goku and Jinwoo to say to, hey guys, we got Goku and Jinwoo. Here you go, man.
That's too much R at once.
Bro, at that point, just make the jump fighters.
Yeah, just make jump fighters that don't look like trash.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually weird. They had that jump fighters on DS all long ago. I wish the Nintendo would do something like that again. Maybe we get it on Switch too. I don't know. But yeah, I think Smash is gonna be a while. I just don't see them, because I mean it's just so much in that game. Like Terrence said, what can you do? I would think you would have to like just flip the game on its head, try something different, reboot it. But then again, it's like, oh, if I reboot it, you going from this crazy game of Ultimate to now just something that's, you know, just like starting over. I don't know. But we'll see. He's kind of like, you know, I don't know. I guess I'm done, but maybe not. I don't know. But I don't think we're gonna see it. I don't think we're gonna see. I think they're just gonna roll out with the stuff that we're thinking about right now. Some Zelda, some Mario Kart, Mario. I think that's gonna be what they stick with. I don't think we're gonna see any Smash.
I think
we could be wrong.
I doubt it. I think Smash is a year 2 or a year 3 thing. I think they're going to have more than enough heavy hitters to show up at this showcase, and then throughout the year for them to not need Smash. Like, I mean, Mario Kart, Mario, and if there is, even if it's not a main line, if it's just a Zelda remake of something, I think that's more than enough to carry a year 1. They'll be fine just having that. So I don't think we'll see Smash or hear about it anytime soon. Splatoon. Splatoon was announced originally. It was like a very late Wii U game, and then almost immediately after Splatoon 1, Splatoon 1 hadn't been around that long, and Splatoon 2 was like a launch title game or a launch window game, I think, because it came out, I think, in May 2017. And so like they were ready to put that game out pretty much immediately. I think they do like the idea of having a competitive multiplayer game available for people to check out. Do y'all think we'll see Splatoon 4 or some type of Splatoon type game there, Terrence?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. When did Splatoon 3 come out?
Same year as Xenoblade 3, so 2022.
Dang.
Yep.
All this stuff sounds like it was much farther away than I remember. It feels like it's only been a year or so, but wow. 3 years at this point. Yeah, I'll put it this way. I could see it being teased, maybe not released this year, though. Maybe next year. I could see that being a next year title. Because like we said, we have Mario Kart. We have potentially Zelda and Mario. I think you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. I think there's probably like one other game that they could release that would also be really hype. But I think Splatoon, you hold off on that. Unless maybe you do like a Splatoon 3 port of some kind. Maybe all the DLC, maybe add a new mode, something new to it. But I don't think we're there just yet. Maybe they'll tease it, but I don't think it's going to be there right this year anyway.
Okay, so just to level set everybody, the first 12 months, so from March to March, March to February, I guess, of the Switch 1, Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, snipper clips, Mario Kart 8, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Pokken DX, Mario Odyssey, Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade 2, Bayonetta 2. That was the Switch 1 first 12 months.
Well, I mean, hey, I did say it might not be this year. It might be next year. So, yeah, maybe early next year it might be out.
I do think if it was early next year, I think that would be fine too. I think if it came out maybe March or something like that, I think that's a bigger gap between Splatoon 3 and 4, like 4 years. I think that's fine. So I think you could be right about that. Hey, man. Devin, is Donkey Kong there?
Nah, that's a good question.
Been a long time.
I'm going to just say yes because it has been quite a long time. I don't even. What was the last Donkey Kong game?
It was a remake.
Yeah,
not a remake. It was a port. Tropical Freeze.
Oh, Tropical Freeze. That's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think so. There are a few IPs and a few like mascots from Nintendo. I think it's good to start off with this time, and Donkey Kong's one of them. Donkey Kong has been a heavy hitter for Nintendo for forever. He still seems to be doing pretty solid. He survived most of the console generations. I mean, you got people like Kid Icarus, which I think he missed like the 64 and a few consoles. He might have had a game. I know he came in Smash, but
he was
Donkey
on
Kong
Wii.
still been out there on Wii. Okay, I know he had one game.
That's Sakurai's thing, man. I no, my bad. I think it was on Wii U. That's Sakurai's thing. He'll take a break from Smash to put out a Kid Icarus game.
Yeah. So I think Donkey Kong, it's another one of those games. It's family friendly, of course. Side scroller, lots of fun, colorful, super cutesy. Well, not cutesy, but a very colorful art style. I think it's time for Donkey Kong to return. Maybe that's what they call the game. Donkey Kong Returns.
We already got one of those. Is that 2? That's Donkey Kong.
Was it Donkey Kong? Yeah.
No, it's actually the 2010 game, Donkey Kong Country Returns.
That's it. Yeah,
for the Wii. Yeah. But yeah, I do think Donkey Kong is a thing. Terrence, what about you?
So here's my question: who would be making it? Because Retro in the past has made those games, right?
Yeah,
that's correct.
And so they're working on Metroid Prime 4, unless maybe they have like an A and B studio, like maybe Studio A is working on Prime and Studio B is working on Donkey Kong.
That's a hell of a year.
Yeah. I don't think. I don't think just yet. I think there will be one, but not just yet.
Get Platinum Games to work on.
Oh, shoot. Whoa.
Ain't nothing left of them. I mean, hell, damn near everybody from Platinum dipped out.
Well, Platinum is working on Ninja Gaiden 4, so,
That's what it was, yeah. Okay.
Hey, I mean, anything's possible, I guess.
This is the big question. If there's a new Donkey Kong, this one's going to be 3D. Because that was a big thing on 64. Because I think most of the ones we had have been like side scroller, kind of like 2.5D. Like, I actually think that could be a very big thing for the Switch to a new mainline 3D Donkey Kong. That could be pretty big, I think.
If it's 3D, then it may not be Retro. It may be somebody else doing it. Or, I mean, we could get, instead of a Donkey Kong game, what do y'all think about Yoshi?
That's another one.
I actually think. Well, wait. We had the Yarn game. When was that one? Let me guess. 2022.
I don't think was the last one.
It wasn't too far off, I don't think.
Yoshi Yarn. That's Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the last one. Yoshi's Crafted World was the last one. That was in 2019.
That was 2019?
Yes, sir.
What? I feel like there's been a Yoshi Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm thinking of the Kirby game, because Kirby had a game that came out.
Yes, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. That was 3 years ago.
And that one was they did a Yarn style for that one too, didn't they?
No, that was full 3D. It was like almost like Kirby Fallout.
Man, I could have sworn that there's some Yarn game that Nintendo released maybe in the past 2 years.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think couldn't he change into different stuff in one of those games? Like in the world kind of.
He would absorb people, and he could absorb a fucking refrigerator or something like that.
You know what? The fact that you said it's been 2019. You know what? Why not? I did not realize it's been that long. Good Lord. So yeah, maybe there is. You think about Yoshi
Kirby's
game.
Epic Yarn, Terrence? Or is that what you think about?
I believe so. I just thought that there was a more recent Yarn game, but I guess not.
I mean, that might be pretty recent. That might be recent-ish, and I know they ported that.
This was 2010. Well, the initial release date.
Oh well, never mind. I lied.
Dang.
Hold on. What was the other release date?
Let's see. Initial. I'm trying to see what it doesn't show the other one. I'm seeing a
2019 for the 3DS.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Dang,
still-
I mean, that's still we're hitting 6
way
years.
back
so
there.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Yeah, why not? Why not?
So I mean, yeah, I would love to see a new Yoshi. That could be fun. Animal Crossing.
There we go.
I personally think it's too
boy.
soon. The last one was such a big deal. You'd want to wait a little while longer. And like I just don't think that's a necessary game for year one, which is gonna move by itself, really. Like just off the strength of maybe Mario Kart and a 3D Mario alone, I think you could sell, if you got them, 20 million. If you got 20 million units, you'll move 20 million units just off those two games and the fact that it's a new console by itself. So I don't think Animal Crossing is going to be there. What do you think, Devin?
Yeah, we've discussed already. If any of these things are come to fruition, I don't think there's any point for Animal Crossing to be there, because it is, as much as I don't really care about the game, a lot of other people care about the game. It's super popular. It moves units. People love those cozy game styles. Have been, I mean, we have had a influx of those type of games from any developers. But Animal Crossing still seems to find itself at the top of that echelon for those types of games. And so, yeah, I don't think that it releasing at the launch is necessary. Somewhere down the line, and like say you said, it's gonna sell copies anyway. So why not? Just wait a little bit.
By March 2021, Animal Crossing New Horizon had sold 32.63 million units.
Hey man, those pandemic sales were they were something else.
As of the end of last year, total sales reached 47.44 million units.
That's a lot of animals.
Yeah. You don't you most assuredly do not need that game this first year. What do you think, Terrence?
I mean, I agree with you all. I don't think that needs to come out this year or even next year. It could be because
year 3, 4.
Because we got Animal Crossing in 2020, and yeah, so it's been 5 years. Like actually has been 5 years, because like March of this year, makes 5. I could see maybe another year or two before the next one comes out. Like I said, I don't see them putting all their eggs in one basket. I see them kind of spacing this stuff out just to give people a reason to continue to buy the console. You release maybe like 2 or 3 hype titles this year, next year even more come in, and the next year after that even more. That's the thing with Nintendo. They have so much legacy, like so many legacy titles, that they could at any time just like take a bag, toss some names of their franchise in, just like swish it around and just put in their hand in it and just pick a random label, and boom, you have a success right there. So I don't think we have to worry about it. Animal Crossing will come, but I don't think that's going to come right now.
I 100% agree. There's just no reason right now. We'll see it down the line. I mean, hell, Animal Crossing felt like it came out at a time where Switch was kind of showing its age a little bit, and people were getting ready to like, okay, well, Switch 2 can't be too far off. And they were like, hey, what about this Animal Crossing? And everybody was like, huh?
And that was 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago. And so like people, I mean, like hell, I think the Switch was maybe 4 years old, something like that by that point.
Yeah, because it came out in 2017. Yeah.
Switch 1 had a hell of a run. So I mean, fuck. And then that was a middle of the gen game. Like, oh hey, what if we dropped a game that sold 50 million copies just about? Insane. So let's move real quick before we close out to some third-party games. Do you think we get do you think Square Enix is there with like a new game? I'm going to give y'all a choice. Dragon Quest 12 or Final Fantasy 9 remake. Or I'll give you the third option, neither, and it's just some like small type shit. Terrence, what do you think?
I think a 9 remake would be right up Nintendo's alley. Like,
I
I feel
agree.
like out of all of the Final Fantasy entries, I think 9 would be a really good one for Nintendo to have. So that showing up in their presentation, I think that'd be a smart idea on Square's part. Also, that'd be a great way of showing, hey, our titles, like the mainline titles, we're back on Nintendo. I think that'd be a great way of doing it.
Devin, what about you?
I definitely agree because it's kind of weird that Nintendo, that's where Final Fantasy was like the home of. I mean, Nintendo was the home of Final Fantasy games, and then as time progressed, it became more like a PlayStation thing. Now it's kind of spread across, but at one point, like when you heard the name Final Fantasy, you thought of PlayStation for quite a while. But yeah, I agree with Terrence. I mean, even thinking about Crystal Chronicles, that was like, if I remember correctly, like one of the last, and it was kind of a main game, it's like side main game-ish.
Yeah.
But even the art style is very similar to Final Fantasy 9. So you could, I mean, like you said, it fits perfectly. You could upgrade it now to make it look even better, give it a more artsy look to it. Yeah, I think I personally want to see this there. I think Dragon Quest is cool, but I mean, they've already had like the Dragon Quest releases on there already, so they already have those on the console. But Final Fantasy coming back to a Nintendo console, to me, that'd be big. That'd be pretty big, and especially get to a mainline remake. Because I mean, FF9 it had some problems like with the train system I didn't like, but overall, it was a pretty solid game. It was like one of my favorite games. So I think that this being there would be very big because this would also be like, oh, you got some RPGs. Like I said earlier, they already have a lot of games, so to give us some variety, like RPG, Mario racing game, I think that'd be dope.
I actually think it's gonna be Dragon Quest 12. I think it's Dragon Quest has always been on the most popular console first and foremost. Now it's more of a multi-platform, but that's because everything is multi-platform. But I still wouldn't be surprised. Like we saw Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake at the Switch
just a few days ago.
Just
I was just thinking about
ago.
that. It'll be funny. They showed it there, and then it just 12 shows up here.
And that's my thought process. I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, for the Switch 1, here's HD 2D remake 1 and 2. And then for the Switch 2, here's Dragon Quest 12, a game that we have not seen at all. They announced it 4 years ago. Like, and then the point was, I think it's Flames of Fate. And I think the point was that it was supposed to be a more mature game and like more serious and stuff like that. And I think it would be interesting for Nintendo to buddy up with Square Enix in that way. Now, that's not to say I don't think Final Fantasy IX Remake, I legitimately at this point think that's going to be revealed at some Nintendo showcase. If that game is still in the works, because we know that there's been a lot of rumors about it. People, even when Square was shutting down games, there were people saying, nah, Final Fantasy IX Remake is still being worked on. I think if that game exists, if that game's being worked on, you will see it at a Nintendo showcase. It won't be at Sony. I think they need to start distancing themselves a little bit from Sony. Not necessarily like not putting their games on there, but not being like, oh, hey, we only do stuff with Sony. That's got to stop. Saw what it did to them with Final Fantasy VII, so I mean, like it's not really benefiting them. So I think they distance themselves from them in that way. And 9 Remake is the perfect place to do that because it feels like a Nintendo game. Couple more, and then we're gonna wrap up. Mario Rabbids 3. Does that show up there? Here's an interesting little anecdote. Mario Rabbids 1 performed really well, and then Mario Rabbids 2 did not perform that well. And apparently someone at Nintendo told Ubisoft, hey, we try to do games like that once a generation. And they were like, that's a good idea, and we think we'll take that into advisement going forward. So do y'all think we see that here, or is that franchise done? Devin.
I mean, the first thing really popped in my head is like, where's Rayman at? That's the first thing. The question I ask, like, Rayman got to be sitting someone aside and looking like, bruh, that's my stuff, man. Like, bar for bar, like that's my. I don't know. I think this could be something probably later down the line. I think maybe I know it had some success. I mean, they've got 2 of these. I never thought I'd see Mario but I also never thought I'd see Mario and Sonic together. So I guess anything at this point is possible. Yeah, I think they might wait a little bit for this one. Because I mean, you just mentioned maybe they'll try again. They was like, hey, we didn't didn't hit the mark with this second one. Maybe let's try our best foot forward on this third one, and maybe they feel confident enough to show something. But I think it'll probably be a little later down the line than just like initially. So like I said, I mean, we've talked about, so it's kind of crazy. Like Nintendo is just this powerhouse of IPs. Terrence just mentioned, take a little hat, put some names in it, pop out. Oh, 100 million copies. Hey, you know. So yeah, I think they could probably hold off on this one. Yeah.
I mean, if not 100 million, maybe 20 million. Like some of the Switch, if you go look up some of the highest selling Switch games, you're going to be like, I can't believe they sold this much, like time and time again. So,
yeah.
Terrence, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Why not let the rabbits out? I guess. I don't care one way or another. If they're there, whoopee. If they're not there, I mean whoopee. So.
I mean, that's, you know what, I can understand that reaction, even though actually like both games pretty well received.
Like the last one was more like a tactical game, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't appeal to me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't appeal to someone else. So, hey, if it is there, I mean, and people, rejoice over it, that's great. That's I can see it being there.
Was the last game, and it was like 86 on Metacritic.
Yeah, I mean those games do very well. So yeah, why not?
Koei Tecmo, do y'all think we see a Warriors game, like some kind of Fire Emblem, Zelda?
Zelda kind of Warriors. Yeah, we haven't had one of those in a while. The Hyrule Warriors, right?
Hyrule Warriors.
Did we get a sequel
two Hyrule Warriors?
Oh, so we did get a sequel.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
They did 2 Hyrule Warriors, and then they did 2 Fire Emblem Warriors. So let me ask you a question. Do they go back to that well, or do they try Xenoblade Warriors, Devin?
That'd be interesting. I you know what? I would actually be down for that, because, I mean, you got the mainline game, so, like, putting in something like a more of a side game that, just a lot of fun, a lot of hack and slash action combat. I mean, the world, like, really works really well with just, like, putting a lot of horde enemies and you just taking them out. I think that'd be pretty dope, actually.
Okay. Terrence, what about you?
I'm gonna do you one better. Smash Warriors.
Oh, wait a minute now. That might go somewhere. That'd be a fun little project for them to do.
I mean, you take maybe the roster for the OG Smash Bros and put that in a game like that. I think it could work. I just thought of that right now. So hey, Nintendo, Nintendo, if you're listening, do
there's some
do with
new
that
Smash
what you
thing,
will.
I can see it. I can see it being titled like Smash Project, and they just like a combination of different things, and just not like we've mentioned throughout this podcast, like not just the normal platform fighting, but I mean we remember that they'll have the All-Star mode, it's like the side scrolling thing.
Oh yeah,
they could do some Smash Project.
They need to update the story. They just need to go back and try to do like a proper story to Smash, something cool, just a bunch of cool hype moments strung together. Effectively the same step forward that Tekken and Street Fighter have taken with their story modes. Do something like that, and then you might be able to get something off the ground, even if it does have a smaller cast. Like, people would forgive it if there's like a really good encompassing story mode. 2 more questions, and then we're gonna go ahead and hop out. Do y'all think, what's the Skyrim on Switch moment? GTA 5, Starfield, Red Dead 2, or Elden Ring? What's the, hey, this is on, you can play this on a Nintendo console now, even though that game old as hell. What's that moment for them? Terrence.
Elden Ring.
I kind of agree.
Elden
Devin.
Ring. Yeah.
Duke Nukem Forever.
Oh God.
I was gonna say Cyberpunk, but then you said like, oh well, yeah, that's a good guess, because Elden Ring is the actual doing in Cyberpunk.
Okay, Cyberpunk. I don't know if Cyberpunk can run on Switch too. I mean, we'll see.
Hey,
we're about to find out.
It could run on a lot of stuff when it came out, and they still put it out. So
that is the factual. Hopefully, they don't fuck their reputation up like that this time. We'll see. But yeah,
I think Elden Ring would be a good choice, though.
I'm almost certain at some point we're gonna get an Elden Ring trailer. I hope it's not long, because I mean, like, it's cool that it'll be playable, but like, that's not exciting for anybody that doesn't exclusively play games on Nintendo consoles. Like if you just like Nintendo, but you play other games on other consoles, that's not exciting at all. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm sure it'll make a lot of money, but it's like, you know.
It
what would
probably
make the most sense?
probably be Elden Ring Complete Edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was
I'm-
that, Devin?
What I'm actually thinking, Night Rain, because Night Rain is coming out soon, and it's more multiplayer focused, and maybe they might try to do something like that with the Switch too. Maybe
That's a good point.
I like that.
like
That's a
just
good
kind of
point,
test
yeah.
the waters with like a FromSoft game on the Switch too.
That's actually a good point. Yeah.
Seems like that would be a good place to do like a 2-part trailer where they start out with like showing you Elden Ring Complete Edition, where it's like Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erdtree together, and then they give you a release date, and then they go away, and it's like, and that's not all, and then they come back, and it's like Elden Ring, Elden Ring, Night Ring, and then it's like, so they have both, and they're putting the whole thing on there. I think that would be the direction they went. If they put Night Ring on there, there's no reason not to just do both.
Yeah.
Last question. This is a fun one, just for like JRPG fans. Is this where the next Tales game shows up?
Tales.
Like we haven't seen Bandai. Is it Bandai Namco that does Tales?
Yeah.
We haven't seen a Tales game since what's that trash game? Arise.
It was like a re-release or something.
Well, there's a DLC for Arise, but I'm just mean Arise. Arise was the last mainline game. We haven't seen a Tales of game in 4 years now, just about. I think it came out in 2021. Yeah. And so we haven't seen like a real Tales game in like 4 years. And so like, is this where we get a chance to get a glimpse of it? Or do they partner up with somebody else? Devin.
Tales of Symphonia remake.
I knew he was gonna say it.
Let's put that trash Tales of Symphonia 2. Just take it out of the annals of history. And let's remake the first one. Honestly, I want a remake of the first game, but I'd be down for the next one being on this console. Makes a lot of sense. This is a style of game that works on Nintendo consoles, but again, it's Tales of Symphonia 1 remake.
That's fair. Terrence, what about you?
In terms of remakes, I actually would not mind seeing Tales of the Abyss remade. Like that one is one that a lot of people really like, but it feels like they kind of just left it alone because the last time that was released was on the 3DS, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, it's a possibility that a Tales game could show up there. There is another RPG that I'm thinking if they did announce that they remade it, they're doing a remake of it, I think the ceilings are going to explode off everybody's houses.
I mean, I wasn't really talking about remakes. I was just talking about new mainline
Yeah, I know.
games. But what remake were you talking about?
Let's get Earthbound, man. Earthbound
I
remake.
can't get away from this shit.
I
can't get away from it. But yeah, that would be cool. That would be hype.
But yeah, I mean, I think a Tales game. I think why not? I think Bandai Namco, they would show their support for Nintendo in that regard. So yeah, I think it's a possibility.
What were you gonna say about the Mother remake, Devin?
No, I was just gonna say that's another series that's been going for so long that I do think if Nintendo were to revisit that, like it would make some waves if they did it right too. Because I mean, it's such a beloved game. But then again, it could be one of those situations where something has been waited on for so long, then it comes out and doesn't quite hit the mark. And people are like, well, y'all should just left it alone. So
yeah. I mean, they remade Super Mario RPG, so it's like I think anything's
now that
possible.
is true.
He did.
That you know what you got me on that one, and that did well. So
it did well enough. That would make me happy. That's one of the few things that could make me excited is if they were like Super Mario RPG 2. That'd be fun. We haven't seen. They haven't done one of those in a long time.
Yeah.
So they kind of replaced it with Paper Mario, but I mean, I think Paper Mario at this point you could do both and be fine.
Yeah.
Or at least just one sequel to RPG 2. I think you could do that. You get away with it.
Yeah.
We get a console brothers. Well, the last one was on. That was a Switch game.
Yeah, it was.
I'm thinking about okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to think about here. I hope that the worst thing that could happen here is that they disappoint. But at this point, I don't think that that's possible. I think everybody has like a reasonable level of expectations. Most of the games we brought up here, we were like, that's not going to be here, or it'll be like next year, or it'll be later down the line. Like, so I think everybody here at least has reasonable expectations. But tune in to see what we think of the showcase later in the week. And for right now, that's going to wrap this week up. What video games are you looking forward to seeing at the Switch 2 presentation? Leave a comment. Let us know. If you're new to us and like this episode, I need you to hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and I need you to do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.